Also, dear listeners, a couple of quick announcements. If you have listened to our Thanos episode, then you know what is coming up next for the podcast for the summer. If not, you don't want to be spoiled, then stop here, go listen to the Thanos episode. We're going to be doing small screen summer, we're doing TV shows, and our June episode is going to be Gargoyles. If you are a Gen X millennial cusper, then you probably already have the entire show memorized and you don't need any help from us. If you're not, then you might be going over to Disney Plus and seeing their, 78 episodes and saying, oh my gosh, how many of these am I going to have to watch in order to understand what's happening? And first off, you never have to watch season 3. Please, it has been literally declared uncanon, disowned by the creator. Don't watch it, save yourself. But that still leaves, 65 episodes? So here's a watch list for the bare minimum you've got to watch if you want to be able to follow along with what we're talking about. The absolute bare minimum, if you only have time to do one thing, the pilot, Awakening Parts 1 through 5. We do our very best to, anytime we cite one of the other episodes, to describe it and give context and everything. But it's really going to be difficult to know who the characters are and the premise of the show and the setting and everything without Awakening Parts 1 through 5. So if you only have time for the equivalent of one movie, that's it. If you have time for City of Stone, it's a 4-parter. It's extremely important to our Dark Lords of Psychology. We do our best to try and make it that you can understand what's going on and follow without having seen City of Stone, but it is a very complicated episode. A lot happens in it, and we do get a couple of our trade ideal bond and flaw quotes from it. So, we try our best, but if you do have time to watch City of Stone, give that one a watch too. And then, if you want to be a completist, or if you don't have time for a full 4-parter after the 5-parter, but you want to get a little bit more of a sense of what we're doing, the other major episodes that we cite are probably about in order of importance: The Mirror, Long Way Till Morning, and Temptation. And if you've seen the show and you didn't know who our Dark Lord was before you started listening to this, you sure know now. If you can watch Hunter's Moon, that's great. But it's essentially the series finale since season 3 doesn't exist. I don't know how comprehensible it's going to be without everything that came before it. So we try to explain it as best we can. But if you are able to watch Hunter's Moon, terrific. We are going to have all those written down in the show notes. You didn't have to take notes on that. Sorry if you were taking notes on that. So that's announcement number 1. Announcement number 2. If you're a patron, then you've already seen this announcement. I put it up on the Patreon because this does affect some of the patrons-only perks, specifically Dee's Journal. We've been looking at Dee's Journal, we've been looking at the direction that it's been taking, especially the past couple episodes, and with Labyrinth and Thanos, it's been getting a lot more ambitious. And we're a bit concerned that it poses a barrier for new listeners. We're not getting rid of it. That's not where this is going. Don't worry. I know it's a lot of people's favorite thing. We're not getting rid of it. But we're a little bit worried that it poses a barrier to new listeners because they're like, oh, cool, I'm going to go listen to this episode about Labyrinth. And then suddenly there's all this weird, hocus pocus crossover fanfic stuff happening. So what we're going to do in order to kind of make the meta plot more accessible, make it easier to catch up, the regular episodes will look exactly the way they do now. Nothing is changing. But previously, we'd had it as a patrons only perk that we would take the Dee's journals and copy paste them into their own file and release them as their own separate thing. And we're going to start doing that generally for everyone. So that way, if somebody gets into the show, it's easier for them to go back and catch up on the storyline. And also we'll be able to do playlists of here are the most important episodes to listen to. Here's, we had that subplot going on last season about her wild magic. And here's where you can go back and listen to the first time that popped up and everything. And it'll make it a lot more accessible for new listeners if they can just binge on Dee's Journal. And hopefully, I know that there are some of you who are really into Dee's story, and sometimes we'll do an episode about a movie that you don't really care about and you don't want to listen to 2 hours of it, and I understand that, and this way you'll be able to just, if you have Marvel fatigue, you can keep up with Dee without listening to 2.5 hours about Thanos. If you are a patron, don't worry, you still get patrons-only perks here, because the Dee's Journal that's going to be dropped for regular listeners is just going to be Dee's journal. There's not going to be any commentary like there was on the Labyrinth episode. It's just going to be starting with the Chopin leading you in and ending with the Chopin credits leading you out. But for patrons, you get that behind-the-scenes commentary. You're the only ones who get to know why I picked Nebula to be her ally instead of Gamora, other than the fact that Nebula rules. And also, we mentioned in the Labyrinth Dee's journal, we had that bonus content where Dee is, going through everything that happened to her in the Labyrinth, including the world falls down scene with Jareth. It took the form of a letter to Binks. She's kind of, much like the Shan Yu episode. We have ideas for letters to Binks in upcoming episodes because there are going to be things that she isn't necessarily going to want to share with Azalin, or things where we're going to want to get into a level of detail that would just completely eat the episode if we put it into Dee's journal. So there's going to be more patron-exclusive content. You can still follow the story. I hate when it's impossible to follow the story without paying up. We're not going to do that. You will still be able to follow the story if you're not a patron. But if you are a patron, then you're going to get some of these behind-the-scenes goodies and deleted scenes and extra context for things. So I'm still in the process of getting those together. Hopefully by the end of this week, you're going to see those dropping on your podcatcher of choice. I am able to backdate the episodes, so they should be showing up alongside the episode. So there will be the Lion King episode and then the Lion King Dee's journal, and the Encanto episode and the Encanto Dee's journal. So hopefully at some point before the end of this week, you're going to get a massive drop of a bunch of Dee's journals, including Labyrinth with just the journal and not the commentary, so that, again, people don't look at the 45-minute length on that and scream and run away. Thank you so much for listening, and happy gaming.